At the roof of the world, where oxygen thins and glaciers carve valleys into silence, life should not exist. Yet the Himalayas tell a different story. Colors shimmer where snow should rain. Strange forms emerge from mist-draped forests, and shadows glide across ridgelines as if born of myth. Among altitudes where our steps grow heavy, life here dances lightly. Shapes gleam with impossible color. Calls drift like echoes of legend. And every gesture feels woven from ancient stories. This is birds of the Himalayas, 15 high-altitude species you won't believe exist. Which of these mountain spirits will astonish you most? Be part of our journey on BBTV Official. Subscribe, and let the wonders of nature remind us all that even in the harshest places, life dares to shine. Himalayan monal, Lophophorus impinjanus. Imagine climbing through mist-draped forests at nearly 12,000 feet, where every breath feels borrowed and silence hangs heavy over the ridges. Suddenly, the snowfield shimmers with a burst of impossible color. This is the Himalayan monal, Lophophorus impinjanus, Nepal's national bird, a creature so radiant that locals call it the rainbow of the snow. In mountain folklore, its sudden flash of light has long been a symbol of hope and renewal, proof that beauty can survive even where life seems most fragile. The monal roams across coniferous forests, alpine meadows, and rocky slopes from eastern Afghanistan to Bhutan and into Tibet, thriving between 7,000 and 15,000 feet. In winter, snow can bury food for weeks, yet the monal persists. Males, about 27 inches long and weighing up to 5.5 pounds, are cloaked in iridescence that shifts from emerald green to violet, copper, and gold, crowned with a metallic crest and circled by a neon blue eye ring. Females, smaller and dressed in mottled browns, vanish into the undergrowth, perfectly disguised while tending nests. Foraging like mountain farmers, monals dig through soil and snow for roots, bulbs, seeds, and grubs. In spring, males climb high rocks to release flute-like whistles across the valleys, their song echoing through the thin mountain air. Females lay 3 to 5 eggs in shallow scrapes, under shrubs or rocks, raising the chicks alone, while males continue their dazzling displays. Though not globally endangered, monals face pressure from hunting and shrinking forests as human activity pushes higher into alpine zones. In protected valleys, however, they remain abundant, their brilliance unbroken. When sunlight strikes their plumage, the monal does not merely walk the slopes. It illuminates them, transforming barren ridgelines into a living kaleidoscope. Even at the roof of the world, beauty burns bright against the snow. Satyr tragopan, Tragopan satyra. Dawn spreads a silver haze across the mid-elevation forests of the Himalayas. From within thickets of rhododendron, a flicker of red emerges, glowing like an ember in the mist. This is the satyr tragopan, Tragopan satyra, a bird so brilliantly adorned that local legends describe it as the spirit of fire wandering among the trees. In Nepal, Bhutan, and northern India, it remains a symbol of the mysterious energy hidden within the mountains. The satyr tragopan lives in cool, temperate, and subalpine forests, most often between 8,000 and 13,000 feet. Here, where cloud banks cloak the slopes, it moves quietly among mossy trunks and flowering shrubs. Males measure about 25 inches, and weigh up to 4.5 pounds, dressed in a cloak of crimson spattered with white and black. During courtship, however, they transform, inflating a brilliant blue throat pouch and raising a pair of horn-like appendages above their eyes. They resemble phantoms from another world, putting on a display that is equal parts strange and mesmerizing. Females, smaller and cloaked in mottled browns, vanish easily into the forest floor where they nest in secret. Foraging on leaves, shoots, berries, and insects, satyr tragopans help disperse seeds across steep valleys, quietly shaping the renewal of Himalayan forests. Nesting occurs close to the ground, with females laying 3 to 5 eggs and guarding them with devotion. The species still roams across much of the central Himalayas, yet its cloud forest strongholds shrink under the pressure of farming and settlement. To witness a satyr tragopan in the wild is to glimpse nature's theater at its most extravagant. A glowing red bird with sapphire horns, striding through the fog as if it were the lead actor in a mountain dream. Snow partridge, lurwa lurwa, high above the tree line, where glaciers carve the mountains and silence settles like a blanket, a small round figure blends almost perfectly into stone and snow. This is the snow partridge, lurwa lurwa, a hardy survivor of the western Himalayas, ranging from Pakistan to Bhutan. Unlike its colorful cousins, this bird wears the muted palette of its environment, trading brilliance for invisibility. The snow partridge thrives between 13,000 and 17,000 feet, in landscapes of scree slopes, alpine meadows, and snowfields where few other birds dare to live. Measuring about 14 inches and weighing close to 1.8 pounds, its plumage is a tapestry of gray, brown, and white streaks that mimic the granite-streaked terrain. Round-bodied and compact, it is built for endurance in cold winds and thin air, not for spectacle. Its habits are simple but effective. Moving in small family groups called coveys, snow partridges scratch for alpine grasses, seeds, mosses, and shoots hidden beneath the frost. Startle them, and they erupt into noisy flight before gliding swiftly downhill, disappearing back into the rocks. Nests are little more than shallow scrapes in the earth, where females lay 3 to 5 eggs, relying on camouflage and seclusion to protect them. Even their legs and feet are feathered, nature's version of snow boots, shielding them from the frozen ground. Because humans rarely venture so high, the snow partridge has remained relatively safe from direct exploitation. Yet climate change and shifting snow lines are altering its fragile world. To encounter one is less about color or song than about presence. A rock that blinks, a shadow that moves, a reminder that survival itself can be beautiful. Blood pheasant, Ichthyogenus cruentus. On a cold Himalayan morning, the undergrowth stirs and a sudden splash of crimson breaks through the frost. This is the blood pheasant, Ichthyogenus cruentus, the state bird of Sikkim, India. Its name, dramatic though it sounds, comes not from blood, but from the red streaks that stain its chest and underparts like brushed paint across gray feathers. In the mists of Nepal, Bhutan, and Tibet, it moves like a quiet phantom just below the snow line. Blood pheasants inhabit alpine scrub, rhododendron thickets, and coniferous slopes at elevations of 8,000 to 14,000 feet. Compact and chicken-sized at about 17 inches long and a little over a pound, the male wears streaks of vivid red on a slate-gray body with a black tail, while the female blends into earthy browns, her plumage tuned perfectly for concealment. Survival here is not about spectacle, but persistence. When winter buries the ground in snow, blood pheasants descend to lower slopes, scratching through frozen leaf litter for buds, mosses, shoots, and insects. Outside breeding season, they move in small flocks, their soft clucks and whistles weaving a subtle chorus through the mist. Come spring, females nest under shrubs or tree roots, laying 5 to 8 eggs and raising the brood with quiet determination. The species remains stable across much of its range, though the steady march of development into alpine zones threatens to fragment its habitat. Still, its presence endures, elusive yet enduring. To glimpse one gliding through rhododendron shadows is to witness a brushstroke of red drama against the white silence of the peaks. A fleeting vision, fragile yet unforgettable. Himalayan griffon vulture, Gyps himalayensis. Far above the valleys, where icy winds sweep across the ridges, a shadow with wings as broad as a small aircraft drifts effortlessly on the currents. This is the Himalayan griffon vulture, Gyps himalayensis, one of the largest raptors in the world, and the silent custodian of the high peaks. With wingspans reaching over 10 feet and bodies weighing up to 26 pounds, they dominate the skies from Afghanistan across Nepal and Bhutan into the Tibetan Plateau. The Himalayan griffon thrives between 4,900 and 16,400 feet, soaring above alpine grasslands, cliffs, and barren ridgelines. Its plumage is pale cream to sandy brown, offset by dark flight feathers, while its head and neck remain bare, an adaptation for feeding that may look stark but is essential for cleanliness. Though enormous in size, the vulture rides thermals with ease, circling for hours without a single wing beat. Unlike the fierce hunters of these mountains, griffons are scavengers. Their hooked beaks rip through hides of yak, sheep, and wild goats, consuming carrion that would otherwise spread disease. In doing so, they serve as nature's cleanup crew, maintaining balance in one of the world's harshest ecosystems. Highly social, they often gather in dozens at a carcass, their presence a mix of chaos and order. Breeding pairs nest on remote cliffs, constructing large stick platforms where the female lays a single egg. Both parents share incubation, raising a chick in conditions that would freeze most forms of life. Yet even these giants face threats. Poisoning from veterinary drugs in livestock carcasses has devastated populations across Asia. Still, when a griffon glides above snowbound peaks, its silhouette seems timeless, like an ancient spirit tracing the wind. To watch one is to feel the scale of the mountains themselves, vast, enduring, and alive. Bearded vulture Lammergeier, Japetus barbatus. Among the stark cliffs of the Himalayas, a dark shape cuts across the sky, its wings long and narrow, its gaze fierce and unwavering. This is the bearded vulture, or Lammergeier, Japetus barbatus, a raptor so unusual that it has earned a reputation as both a ghost and a legend. Unlike other vultures, it is draped in rust orange and cream plumage, with a black beard of feathers beneath its chin and eyes ringed in red that burn like embers. Ranging from 5,000 to 16,000 feet, the bearded vulture commands a domain of ridgelines and desolate valleys from Central Asia into the Himalayas. With a wingspan stretching over 9 feet and a body weighing between 10 and 15 pounds, it seems built for power, yet its flight is graceful, carving through mountain thermals in silence. Its habits, however, set it apart from all others. Where most vultures seek soft tissue, this bird hungers for what remains, the bones. Carrying heavy bones high into the air, it releases them onto rocks, shattering them into shards before returning to feast on the fragments. Up to 90% of its diet is bone, digested by stomach acids so strong they can dissolve marrow and splinter alike. It is a recycling specialist, transforming death's hardest remnants into sustenance. Breeding pairs nest on remote cliffs, raising a single chick once every year or two in complete seclusion. Their slow reproduction makes them vulnerable, and poisoning from contaminated livestock carcasses has reduced populations across Asia. Yet in Himalayan folklore, the lammergeier endures as a sky spirit, sometimes feared, sometimes revered, always respected. To see one glide across a snowy ridge, wings outstretched, bone clutched in its talons, is to witness a ritual as old as the mountains themselves. An aerial drama where survival becomes legend. Red-billed chough, Parocharax. Above the monasteries that cling to Himalayan cliffs, a black shape darts and tumbles through the thin air, its crimson bill catching the light like a streak of fire. This is the red-billed chough, Parocharax, a bird as much an acrobat as a survivor, equally at home on the roof of the world as it is circling sacred walls. Monks have long considered it a messenger of playful spirits, its aerial stunts echoing joy in places where life is often harsh. The chough inhabits rugged slopes, high valleys, and rocky outcrops between 8,000 and 16,500 feet, from the Tibetan Plateau across Nepal, Bhutan, and northern India. Slightly smaller than a crow, about 15 inches long with a wingspan near 30 inches, it is instantly recognizable by its glossy black plumage, bright red legs, and slender, curved scarlet bill. In sunlight, the feathers gleam with a purple sheen, turning a simple silhouette into something striking. But it is in the air where this bird reveals its genius. Red-billed choughs are master flyers, known for twisting dives, sudden flips, and playful rolls performed seemingly for fun. They ride the winds along cliffs with unmatched agility, sometimes gathering in noisy flocks whose chatter resembles laughter carried on the wind. Their acrobatics may strengthen bonds within the flock, but to human eyes, they look like joy incarnate. On the ground, they feed on insects, grains, and scraps, often gathering around monasteries where offerings or leftovers provide an easy meal. Nesting in crevices and cliff walls, they lay 3 to 5 eggs, with both parents devoted to raising the brood. Though not endangered, their habitats remain sensitive to disturbance. Yet, to see a flock of choughs looping above a monastery, red bills flashing against blue sky, is to watch gravity mocked and joy written across the wind. Kalegi pheasant, Lophura leucomelanus. Along the terraced fields and forest edges of the Himalayan foothills, a sudden shimmer of silver and black slips across the path, vanishing into thickets with a swift rustle. This is the Kalegi pheasant, Lophura leucomelanus, a bird that bridges wilderness and village, often glimpsed where people and mountains meet. Revered in local folklore, yet comfortable near human settlements, it has become part of the living tapestry of Himalayan life. The Kalegi ranges from Pakistan through northern India, Nepal, and Bhutan, thriving at elevations between 3,000 and 10,000 feet. Unlike its high-altitude cousins, it prefers mid-elevation forests, bamboo thickets, and even cultivated fields. Males, reaching about 28 inches and weighing up to 3.5 pounds, display glossy black plumage that shimmers with metallic blue and green, accented by a bright red face patch and a flowing white or silvery tail, depending on the subspecies. Females, smaller and dressed in shades of brown, are masters of camouflage, vanishing into the undergrowth at the first sign of danger. Feeding mostly on the forest floor, Kalegi pheasants scratch for seeds, berries, roots, and insects, occasionally venturing into village fields to forage on fallen grain. Though capable of short flights, They rely more on speed and stealth, darting into cover at the slightest disturbance. During the breeding season, males strut with lowered wings and fanned tails, performing dramatic displays to win females. Nests are simple ground scrapes hidden in dense vegetation, where females lay 6 to 9 eggs and raise the chicks alone. While widespread and adaptable, local populations face hunting pressure and habitat loss. Yet, in many protected forests, their presence remains strong. To encounter a college pheasant on a quiet mountain trail is to glimpse wild elegance woven into daily life. An emblem of resilience, striding between the forest shadows and the fields of humankind. Grandala coelicolor. When the mountains are cloaked in cloud and stone seems to swallow every trace of color, a sudden flicker of sapphire glides across the ridge. This is the Grandala coelicolor, a bird so startlingly blue that it feels less like a creature of earth and more like a fragment of sky torn free. For travelers on lonely Himalayan passes, its appearance is a reminder that beauty often hides where the land feels most desolate. The Grandala inhabits alpine cliffs and wind-swept slopes between 10,000 and 15,000 feet, from the ranges of northwestern India through Nepal, Bhutan, and into Tibet. During the coldest winters it drifts lower, sometimes to 8,000 feet, but it never strays far from the mountain's embrace. Males, about 8 inches long, are cloaked in iridescent cobalt feathers that shimmer like polished glass. Females and young birds, more modest in gray-brown tones, carry only faint touches of blue, proof that here, survival often favors subtlety. Their voices are gentle, almost elusive. Thin whistles like wind slipping through a narrow pass. Grandalas are highly social, forming flocks of dozens that ripple across foggy ridges like a tide of moving blue. Feeding on insects and berries, they shift from perch to perch in quick, fluttering arcs, scattering light against stone. Breeding takes place in the crevices of cliff walls, where moss and feathers line hidden nests, safe from nearly all intruders. In this stark environment, their role is quiet but meaningful, dispersing seeds and keeping insect populations in balance. To see a Grandala sweeping across a snowfield is to witness sky descending to earth, painting cold granite with living color. In the silence of the Himalayas, few sights feel more like a gift. White-collared blackbird, Turdus albicinctus. At the break of dawn in the Himalayan forests, when mist drapes the valleys and the first rays of light filter through rhododendron branches, a gentle song rises from the shadows. The voice belongs to the white-collared blackbird, Turdus albicinctus, a thrush so elegantly marked it seems dressed for an evening performance. Jet black plumage offset by a pristine white collar and a golden yellow beak. In the hush of early morning, it is the bird that announces the day. This species inhabits montane forests, thickets, and clearings between 6,500 and 11,500 feet, from northern India and Nepal across to western China. At about 10 inches long and weighing roughly 2.5 ounces, it is not large, yet its appearance is striking. Glossy feathers shine like polished onyx, while the bright ring of white at its throat makes it unmistakable. Unlike its flamboyant pheasant neighbors, the white-collared blackbird carries its beauty in restraint. Its song is soft but lyrical, a series of flute-like notes that echo through misty valleys at dawn. Feeding mainly on insects, worms, and berries, it searches the forest floor with deliberate steps, often alone or in pairs. During the breeding season, females weave cup-shaped nests from grass and moss, usually low in shrubs or root tangles. Clutches range from 2 to 4 eggs, with both parents sharing the work of raising chicks. Although still common in protected areas, Its habitat faces increasing pressure from logging and expanding tourism, which alter the delicate balance of the montane forests. Yet its quiet resilience endures. When its song drifts across the mist at first light, the white-collared blackbird proves that beauty does not always dazzle. It can also whisper, carrying wonder in the simplest notes of the morning air. Brown Dipper, Cinclus palasi, where icy rivers carve through the gorges of the Himalayas, water thundering against stone, a small brown bird clings to the rocks as if it were born of the torrent itself. This is the brown dipper, Cinclus palasi, a songbird unlike almost any other, one that has traded the open sky for the roar of white water. In a land of glaciers and peaks, it thrives not in silence, but in the spray. The brown dipper inhabits fast-moving streams and mountain rivers between 5,000 and 13,000 feet, from Tibet and Nepal through Bhutan and northern India. Only about 8.5 inches long and weighing around 2.3 ounces, it is compact and sturdy, with chocolate-brown plumage, short wings, and strong legs that grip wet rock. What makes it remarkable is not its look, but its life beneath the surface. Unlike most passerines, the brown dipper swims. Diving headfirst into rapids, it uses its wings to fly underwater, walking along stream beds to flip stones in search of insect larvae and tiny crustaceans. Special adaptations, closing nostrils, protective eye membranes, allow it to hunt where few birds dare. Its clear whistling song rings out even above waterfalls, a sharp melody that cuts through the roar of rushing water. During breeding season, pairs build mossy dome-shaped nests tucked into crevices above the water, safe yet close to the life source they depend on. Both parents share the duty of raising 3 to 5 chicks, feeding them on a steady diet of aquatic insects. Because they rely on pristine, oxygen-rich streams, brown dippers serve as living barometers of river health. Where they vanish, pollution has already taken hold. Yet in untouched valleys, their presence is proof of resilience. Watching one dive into a torrent and emerge singing, it is hard not to feel that in the Himalayas, even rivers have their own winged spirit. Fire-tailed sunbird, Ethopyga ignicauda. In a land of gray cliffs and snow-dusted pines, sometimes the smallest bird carries the brightest flame. The fire-tailed sunbird, Ethopyga ignicauda, darts through Himalayan valleys like a living ember, its plumage catching the light in flashes of red and gold. Where rhododendrons bloom at high elevations, this tiny creature becomes a spark of color against the cold. The fire-tailed sunbird inhabits temperate and subalpine forests between 8,000 and 13,000 feet, ranging from Nepal through Bhutan into Tibet and northeastern India. Barely 6 inches long, including its tail, it weighs less than half an ounce. Yet the male shines as if painted by fire. A metallic crimson crown, shimmering green back, violet throat, and a blazing red tail that trails like a burning fuse. Females, more subdued in olive brown with subtle red highlights, blend with foliage while retaining a quiet elegance. Though small, it plays a mighty role. Using its slender, curved bill, the sunbird drinks from tubular blossoms, especially rhododendrons, acting as an essential pollinator in alpine forests. Like hummingbirds, it hovers briefly, but more often perches delicately, returning again and again to the same flowers. It also snaps up tiny insects, especially when feeding chicks, adding protein to a nectar-heavy diet. Breeding pairs weave pear-shaped hanging nests, suspended from branches or cliffs, like delicate hammocks swaying in the mountain breeze. Inside, females lay 2 to 4 eggs, and both parents share in raising their fragile brood. These birds are not endangered, but their lives depend on the fragile balance of forests, flowers, and highland climate. To glimpse one flashing through a valley in morning light is to see fire itself made feathered. A reminder that even in cold, gray heights, life burns brilliantly. Ibisbill, Ibidor struther sea, where glacial rivers spread into wide beds of stone and water runs clear and cold, a solitary figure steps with deliberate grace. This is the Ibisbill, Ibidor struther sea, a bird so distinctive it stands alone in its family, a relic of evolution whose only kin are written in deep time. With its gray body, bold black chest band, and a long crimson bill curving downward, it looks like a monk in simple robes, quietly searching the river's edge. The ibisbill inhabits stony floodplains and braided riverbeds fed by Himalayan snowmelt, usually between 5,000 and 14,000 feet. These landscapes appear barren, yet the ibisbill has carved out its niche among gravel bars and icy shallows. Measuring about 16 inches long and weighing just under a pound, it is not large, but its silhouette is unmistakable. Arched bill probing between stones, while its red legs stride confidently through the current. Its feeding is patient and precise. The curved bill slips into cracks and under pebbles to extract insect larvae, beetles, and tiny crustaceans. Unlike many waders, it forages in near silence, a figure of calm against the restless river. Breeding pairs form strong monogamous bonds, nesting directly on gravel bars where eggs are almost invisible among the stones. Typically, 2 to 4 eggs are laid, and both parents share in the duty of incubation and care. The ibisbill is not considered endangered, but its dependence on pristine rivers makes it highly vulnerable to pollution, dams, and climate-driven changes in water flow. Still, when its soft whistled call drifts over glacial waters and its scarlet bill catches the light, the bird seems less an inhabitant of the river than a guardian spirit watching over it. Hoary-throated barwing, Actinodura nipalensis, in the moss-draped forests of the eastern Himalayas, where bamboo groves sway in the mist and lichens soften every branch, a subtle flutter betrays a presence. This is the hoary-throated barwing, Actinodura nipalensis, a bird that does not shout for attention but rewards the patient eye with quiet elegance. It belongs to the laughing thrush family, yet unlike its noisy cousins, it is a creature of restraint, moving through the undergrowth with grace and precision. The barwing ranges across Nepal, Bhutan, and northeastern India, inhabiting temperate forests, bamboo thickets, and mossy slopes between 7,000 and 11,000 feet. About 8 inches long and weighing just over an ounce, it carries an understated palate, a gray throat, a warm chestnut crown, and bold striped wings that flash in flight. Its long tail, edged in black and white, adds flourish to an otherwise modest appearance, like a brush stroke of ink across parchment. Constantly active, hoary-throated barwings forage in pairs or small groups, hopping through branches in search of insects, caterpillars, berries, and seeds. Their calls are gentle whistles and soft trills, a far cry from the raucous choruses of their relatives. During the breeding season, pairs weave cup-shaped nests hidden in shrubs or small trees, lining them with moss and feathers. Though not globally threatened, the barwing's habitat is increasingly fragmented by agriculture and development creeping into montane forests. Yet it remains a quiet emblem of resilience. To glimpse one slipping through a bamboo grove, throat pale against the green, is to discover beauty that whispers rather than declares. A reminder that in the Himalayas, even the softest voices belong to the chorus of life. Even at the roof of the world, beauty sings, in feathers, in flight, in voices carried through the wind. The birds of the Himalayas are not just creatures of the wild. They are guardians of stories, keepers of balance, and sparks of wonder in a cold and silent land. Share with us in the comments, which bird would you carry in your memory? And if you'd like to keep discovering nature's wonders, like this video, subscribe to BBTV Official, and let these journeys continue together.